Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Jurassic World Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex Pack, exclusively available here in North America at your local Target stores. For the package, much like all of the Legacy Collection figures, you do have that nice logo here, but they did change the background to coincide more with their Dino Rivals line. So while this is still part of the Legacy Collection, it does have some of that more updated looking package. You can see that, as I said, this is the Tyrannosaurus Rex Pack, which is meant to kind of replicate a couple of the T-Rexes that we saw in Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World. That being, obviously, the baby T-Rex, which we've gotten before, and a repainted version of, I believe, Rexy, with the extreme chomping action that, as you can see, you can play with that still here. But this T-Rex here is painted to look more like the Buck in Jurassic Park 2, who famously ran the streets of San Diego destroying a whole bunch of stuff. So for the most part, this is just a repainted set, but it still works in my opinion. You come around here to the back of the package, and you can see that you got the chomping action on both of these guys, as well as what looks like a new type of pack, which features Robert Muldoon and a Velociraptor.
Clever girl.
As well as Alan Grant here with another Velociraptor, presumably to replicate how it was in Jurassic Park 3, because you can see some eggs right down there, which that's kind of cool. I love the fact that they're continuing with some of these guys. But for the packaging on this set, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get them out here and see how cool they actually are. Alright guys, so here we have the new Jurassic World Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex Pack opened up and out of their packaging. And honestly, this is a great reuse of these two figures. Well, the baby T-Rex here, despite being slightly recolored, is still primarily that dinosaur that we saw in the film. The larger T-Rex here, though, again, while is a repaint of that original Rexy figure, what Mattel has succeeded in doing in repainting it is create a new character. And I think they did a really very good job. Now, starting off first with the baby T-Rex, because I actually never got the original one, the only thing that I would say that I would like to have seen differently on this, I have seen the original one in stores, is that the coloring is darker. The green here is much lighter. I kind of like the darker color, and while I never picked up that original one, I kind of want to go back and try and find it because I feel it fits with this a little bit more, but they had to do something a little bit different, and I appreciate that. I'm not sure if the markings are the same, but you can see that you do have a very nice kind of speckled look. Well, I'm going to get this guy out of the way because there's just going to be some crazy focus issues. But you can see some nice speckling in the paint here, which looks really very good. You do have those darker green striped elements, which are really nice. That carries down here to the leg as well. Same thing with the speckling of the plastic, which looks great. Come to the eyes, nice very yellow eyes in here. I mean, it stands out really well. You got a little bit of that darker green that kind of replicates some of the stripes there. Some nice detail with the mouth. You can see you got the yellowish paint here for the teeth. You do have some red on there for the tongue. Overall, really very nice. Now, people have made the point that this is a $30 price point. You do get two figures. I feel like the price is perfectly fine. This guy is part of the Legacy Collection. I think was like $9 anyhow. The larger T-Rex was maybe $20. So $30 I feel is what you're going to get. I mean, both of these figures by themselves are $30. But the original one came with a muzzle on it. Now, it is unfortunate that this one doesn't come with that. So again, if you do have that original one, there is a difference between the two, but he does look pretty darn good. In terms of his articulation, nothing here at the head. The arms here are on these pin hinge joints. You can see that they're pinned in and then they can hinge outward, so you can pose that kind of however you want. The legs here, I feel like this one should move out. The only one that moves out though is this one on this side. This one doesn't seem to move. I don't know if it's supposed to. If you guys know, let me know. I do kind of wish that there was some black paint for the nails, but that's something that I can add with a Sharpie. And then the action feature on this guy is you push down his tail and you can see the mouth opens and closes, which that's perfectly fine. I think that's a pretty good gimmick, I guess. One other thing that I would kind of note is that there isn't anything really painted down in the lower section of the tail. Kind of wish that that darker pattern that's on his back would carry down there, but it's not going to ruin it. for me. So overall, really nice looking figure. It is a baby T-Rex, so it is supposed to be smaller. For comparison, here's the Tyrannosaurus. So you can see that basically a baby is roughly the same size as a full-grown dino. That's of the same kind of posturing, I suppose. But again, let's do some measuring here. From the tip of the tail to the snout, you're looking at about 6.5 inches or so in length. In this posture, you can see that about 3.5 inches or so in height. You can get them to be a little bit smaller. I mean, you can crotch them down. You can't really get them to go too much higher. The legs stop right there. So you can't really do too much in terms of changing much of the positioning of him, but I'm okay with that. I still think he looks pretty good. Like I said, do wish he was a little bit darker in color, but that's mostly just because of how the buck here looks. Taking a look at this guy. Now, again, one thing that the live action movies here kind of sort of hinted at is that the males have a greener color to them, which is why he's also green, and the females have a brown color. Now, because this is part of the Legacy Collection, this version of Rexy didn't have any of the scars or anything. This is how Rexy looked in Jurassic Park. It wasn't until Jurassic World that the scars were on there. So obviously this uses that same mold, and I think looks absolutely terrific. It is a great looking dinosaur, and the paint really is nice on here as well. In the Lost World, it was, like I said, established that the males have a more green color, and one thing that I would kind of, again, I guess preferred was maybe a darker green. That definitely could be because in the movie it was very dark and it was very hard to see, so maybe he looked darker than he actually was. As it is, I think that the color on here still does look really nice. You can see, much like the baby, you do have those different patterns along the back and everything. You got some of that painted here on the snout for the dinosaur. Great sculpted detail, all the wrinkles, all the lines, all look really good. Much like that baby, I do kind of wish that the patterns carry down. But one thing I would say is, like, I mean, because they're supposed to be related, at least that's consistent that they both don't have that pattern on the tail. So I guess that's kind of cool. But this is basically just a straight up repaint. Now, they did do a running change when you pushed the button here in the back of the head and the mouth opened. In the original one, and if you go back and look at mine, like the tongue is like straight up like dangling right here in the middle. They did a running change on that figure, and it carries over here with the buck. The tail is much further down, which looks good. But I feel like that's a real wide opening for the mouth. I mean, it just seems like it's too much of an opening. I'm kind of more happy with something like that. But overall, again, great detail on this guy. And what's really nice is that if you do have this, and if you do have that Rexy, you could probably put them both together and create the father, that mother, and child scene. So if you do have that, you can repurpose it for this display, which I think is great. Obviously, that doesn't have to be Rexy. I mean, based on dinosaurs, and I mean, like, it could have been any of the dinosaurs. The scratches and scars on the later version kind of do offer some kind of separation and uniqueness to that particular character. So like I said, if you wanted to repurpose that smaller one, and that's what I'm glad, because I did get that bigger, both Stomp and Chomp as well as the Fight and Bite version, which kind of became my Rexy in my collection. That extreme chomping T-Rex kind of went by the wayside for a while. Now I can bring it back out and repurpose it as the female mate to the buck here that made the little baby. So I'm really very happy with that. All the articulation on this guy is going to be the same. You have that weird little sock thing here, but overall you get a tremendous amount of range of motion here in the neck. You can twist, you can turn left, right, the mouth can open. One thing I actually kind of like is that it kind of can be postured open like that a little bit, and it doesn't slam shut. I do like that. Again, gives it a little bit of a difference, at least on my figure here. The little arms do have a hinge outward. It kind of, well, they swivel, and then they kind of, you can see, just hinge like that. Not so much straight out, but like that. So they just kind of rotate there. These legs here are on semi-ratchet joints. They're kind of positioned in a way where they lock right here. So this is the standard position for them, but you could easily bend them like that. It holds. You can position them down further like I had. I mean, I kind of like something like this, bringing the dad down to the baby level. I do like that. The tail section, oh, and also the hips do move in and out on both of them, and then they do rotate here at the ankle. This one is a little bit looser than I would like, but it just stands there, so that's all that matters. And then the back section here does have a nice ball joint. When you get it out of the package, just does have to be locked into place, but that's really easy. Again, great paint variation. Everything really does look good. The only thing that I would say, like I talked about, maybe a little bit darker, but that doesn't bother me really at all. It's not a deal breaker for me because it does still have a really nice coloration throughout the entire thing. Again, size-wise, it is going to be the exact same as that other. So from the snout to the tip of the tail, you're looking at about 19¼ inches or so. In this posture, you're looking at about 7 inches. But again, you can dramatically increase the height. You can kind of angle that back. You can get that. You're not going to be able to see it, but you can get that guy to about 1.5 feet tall. So it just depends on the posturing, like I said, that you want to do. Overall, great reuse of this. I feel like, toy companies do a lot of reuses of figures, and they make sense. And I feel like Mattel did that here with this. While not entirely, and then you do have the Jurassic World Facts app. I forgot to bring that up. If you want to use any of that stuff, here, I'll put that on the screen. You guys can scan that, add that to your collection. The Buck here has that as well, so you can again add that to your collection. One thing to note is that these do not have the Dino Rival cards, extreme close up. So if you're looking for those, unfortunately these legacy ones don't seem to have it, so it's not a big deal if you ask me. But this is a terrific set. It really is. It allows you to, like I said, add some different characters from the franchise to your display. The repaint on both of them looks really good. I do wish they were a little bit darker on both of them, but it's not, as I mentioned, a deal breaker. This is a repainted set that really does make sense, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have it in my display. Remember, I did say that here in North America, these are exclusively available at your local Target stores. They're out now, so if you're looking for them, good luck and happy hunting. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate your support, guys, simply by hitting that thumbs up button. That one small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, a huge thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. Also, a huge shout out to all of my patrons who, through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember, the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.